Have you ever felt trapped by your past? By a mistake you made years ago, a failure that still haunts you, or regrets that never let you sleep at night? Many of us live like prisoners of yesterday, carrying invisible chains, dragging heavy memories wherever we go. But what if I told you the past doesn't define you? What if the weight you've been carrying isn't meant for your shoulders anymore? This is the story of Ethan, a man who discovered the power of leaving his past behind. And by the end of this story, you might discover how to leave yours, too. Ethan Miller sat at the corner of his dimly lit apartment, staring at the half-empty glass of whiskey on the table. The room smelled faintly of stale smoke and regret. His phone buzzed again, a reminder of the job interview tomorrow. But instead of excitement, a cold wave of fear ran through him. What if I fail again? That voice in his head wasn't new. For years it had whispered doubts into his mind. Ethan had once been a rising star in the corporate world, young, ambitious, and full of ideas. But one mistake, one decision had changed everything. 5 years ago, during a crucial project, Ethan had made a miscalculation that cost his company millions. Though it wasn't entirely his fault, the blame fell on his shoulders. His colleagues turned cold, his friends drifted away, and the weight of humiliation crushed him. Since then, he carried his past like an anchor, dragging him deeper into despair. Tonight, as he stared at his reflection in the dark window, he thought, why even try? The past will never let me go. The next morning, Ethan reluctantly went to the interview. His suit was wrinkled, his tie loosely knotted, and his confidence non-existent. He entered the office building and waited in the lobby, tapping his foot nervously. Beside him sat an older man in his 60s, wearing a simple gray suit. He smiled warmly at Ethan and said, "Nervous, son?" Ethan managed a weak laugh, something like that. The man leaned closer. "First time?" "No, actually, it's been years since I had a real job. I messed up badly in my last one. I don't think they'll take me seriously." The older man studied Ethan with kind eyes and said, "You know, the funny thing about the past is it's like a backpack. You can keep stuffing it with mistakes, regrets, and failures, but eventually it gets so heavy that you can't move forward. The trick is learning when to take it off." Ethan frowned. "Easier said than done." The man chuckled. "True. But let me tell you a story." And so, as they sat waiting, the man began to share. "Back in my 30s, the man said, I was a long-distance runner. I trained for months for a marathon, one of the biggest in the country. I had sponsors, family, friends, all cheering me on. But during the race, halfway through, I stumbled. My ankle twisted, and I fell flat on my face. People passed me, one by one. The crowd went silent. Cameras caught my fall, and by the next day, newspapers mocked me. They called me the runner who couldn't finish. For years, I lived in that shadow. I stopped running. I stopped dreaming. Every time I tried to start again, I heard the laughter in my head. I carried that one fall with me everywhere." Ethan nodded slowly. The story sounded painfully familiar. "But one day, my daughter, she was only 10, looked at me and asked, 'Dad, why don't you run anymore? I've never seen you run.' And something hit me. I realized I had let one moment in the past define my entire future. So I laced up my shoes again. I ran, not to prove anything to the world, but to prove to myself that I wasn't finished." The man smiled. "And do you know what happened?" "What?" Ethan asked. "I didn't win any races, but I finished them. Every single one. And the joy of crossing the finish line taught me something. Your past failure is not your full story. It's just a chapter. You don't throw away a book because of one bad page. You keep reading."
The interviewer finally called Ethan's name. As he stood, the man patted his shoulder. Remember, son, leave your past behind. Walk in there as the man you are today, not the man you used to be. Ethan entered the room with those words echoing in his head. For the first time in years, he didn't apologize for his past mistakes. Instead, he spoke with honesty, confidence, and resilience. He admitted where he had failed, but he emphasized what he had learned. Something shifted. Instead of seeing himself as broken, he presented himself as someone rebuilt, stronger, wiser. When the interview ended, he walked out with a strange feeling he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The old man was gone, as if he had vanished into thin air. Ethan never even caught his name.
Weeks later, Ethan got the call. He had landed the job. Not just any job, but one that aligned with his passion. Slowly, he rebuilt his life. The whiskey bottles disappeared from his table. His apartment brightened with books, flowers, and the laughter of new friends. Every now and then, when self-doubt returned, Ethan remembered the stranger's words. Take off the backpack. Leave your past behind. He started running too, not from his past, but toward his future.
One evening, years later, Ethan stood on a stage, giving a motivational talk to hundreds of people. His voice was steady, his eyes bright. Most of us, he said, carry our past like a heavy bag. We drag around regrets, mistakes, shame, until we're too tired to move forward. But here's the truth. The past is over. It cannot be changed, no matter how much you replay it in your mind. What can be changed is what you do today, right now. If you're watching this, I want you to remember, you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are the choices you make today. So leave your past behind. Put down the bag. Walk lighter. Because the life you dream of is waiting. Not behind you, but ahead of you. The crowd erupted in applause. Ethan smiled, not because he was perfect, but because he was free.